There are certain clear marks of a movie by Jim Jarmusch: deadpan humor, elegant compositions, and clever mixtures of popular genres. One more thing is the likely presence of actor Isaac de Boncolet. In the new film Limits of Control, which was photographed by the great Christopher Doyle, he is a stranger whose mysterious task takes him across Spain. Along the way, he encounters other Jarmusch regulars, John Hurt, Bill Murray, and Tilda Swinton, among many others. The lead actor talks to Canape about his journey with Jarmusch.
It was about 2 years ago. Jim called me and he said, "Isaac, listen, I have an idea to make a movie with you. I don't have a script. I know, I saw a building a long time ago in Madrid, and I just have you and that building. So I don't know, maybe we should just put together a small crew and go on the road." I said, "Jim, listen, why not?" And then after a few weeks, he came to me and said, "Okay, Isaac, I wrote down some, ideas here and there. It's not a regular script, it's not even a treatment. It has no dialogue. It's about 20, 25 pages. I don't know if I should show that to you." I said, "Listen, it's up to you. If you want to show it to me before, it's fine. If not, I trust you enough. We done 3 movies together, and I trust you enough to come with you on the road."
Go to the towers, go to the cafe, wait a couple of days, and watch for the violin.
It's a guy who sent me on a mission, and but all along I don't know exactly where and when, and I have to encounter different characters, different people in the movie who are gonna give me a next clue for the next step. So, and but I mean, clearly the mission is to get down somebody.
No guns, no sex.
How can you stand it? It's like a game. Deception. Suspicion.
How did you get in here?
I used my imagination.
Among us, there are those who are not among us.
I'm among no one. His emotions should stay internal, not external. So that was the most difficult thing to do, because as I do believe that when 2 people are together and talking, even though one doesn't really talk verbally, it's never a monologue. It's always a dialogue. Jim is a very meticulous guy, even though sometimes, it kind of feel or appears like, it gives you so space to do your thing. But in that space, he has things pretty much marked. The naked girl, the nude. Yes, Paz played the nude girl, who was always almost, all the time a nude, except for this transparent raincoat, which is still shows up nudity. And so she's an actress I liked because she's very talented and also very crazy in a way, because she's so natural and so innocent sometimes that I really enjoy working with her. And it was not that hard because it was not the first time I saw her naked in a movie maybe with her, But as a character, yes, he was kind of restraining, you know, to be that close to a beautiful girl and naked and try not to show any emotion. But that's the requirements of the script.
Is this your twisted idea of revenge?
Revenge is useless. Everything's imagined.
Sometimes the reflection is far more present than the thing being reflected.
I came from a family. My parents were born in Benin, ex-Dahomey, my grandparents in Nigeria. So my parents moved to the Ivory Coast. I was born in the Ivory Coast. I moved to France, and then I'm here in the United States. I also feel myself as a perpetual nomad, you know, a stranger, you know. After a while, maybe here I'm gonna have the envy to move somewhere else, maybe to move to Japan. I don't know. You know, life is too short. But yes, I don't consider myself belonging to one place. You know, I belong to the planet Earth. You know, and the most I can learn about what I don't know, you know, the better I'm ready to face those kind of things. So I have some envy to tell some stories I think are more important to or close to me, and I wrote my own script that. Thanks God, I just found some producer. Maybe soon I'm going to direct my own project.
It's May, and you love the movies. And for movie lovers from all over the world, it's time for the Cannes Film Festival. In recent years, Canape has been on the scene, bringing the news back home. In 2008, one of the revelations of the festival was James Toback's documentary about boxer Mike Tyson. This year, the jury will be headed by veteran French actress Isabelle Huppert. Canape offers glimpses of both.
I want you to get together. I want you to get together. Put your hands together one time. I want you to get together.
There was this famous, well, I don't know if it is a famous line, but I think it's a beautiful one. When Ingrid Bergman was doing one of these movies with Roberto Rossellini, you know, maybe it was Stromboli or whatever, and she was a bit at lost, you know, and she didn't know what to do, and she asked him, what should I do? And his answer was, you should move so that I can film what is around you. And this is the perfect definition, I think, of, you know, what how an actress should relate to what is around her, you know, and it's everything together that comes to something significant, you know. And that's what basically cinema is about, you know.
What was really interesting was not what people had to say about Mike, but to see into Mike.
I've always maintained the thought that I had on film all my whole life. It's just that I had the opportunity to put it on film.
To look at his face, listen to his voice, and to find an interesting and visually arresting way of presenting that to the world and to posterity.
The publication and worldwide success several years ago of Irene Nemirovsky's novel Suite Française revived interest in the home front of France during World War II. Now an exhibit at the New York Public Library, Between Collaboration and Resistance, French Literary Life Under Nazi Occupation, takes a more comprehensive look at the historical period. Who collaborated? Who resisted? Who switched sides? Curator Robert Paxton talks with Canape about the French ethical landscape.
This exhibit concerns France between 1940 and 1944. France was defeated by Germany, by Nazi Germany in June 1940, and was occupied by German troops, but there was an armistice. Quite uniquely in Europe, France had its own government, a quasi-independent government in the southern town of Vichy, headed by a World War I hero, Marshal Pétain, and an unoccupied zone. So there's a French authority and a Nazi authority, and during that period, authors and writers and artists, as well as French citizens, had to decide how they're going to react to this exceptional period of oppression. The intent of this exhibit is to show for the first time in the United States an interesting collection of original materials. We have letters, we have diaries, we have photographs, we have original manuscripts of things that were written during the war period that illustrate the various reactions of French writers, some who resist, some who collaborate, many who are searching their way, who are trying to find out what they ought to do. This exhibit is organized in 8 sections. The first section is in the World War I background, because it's only 22 years after the enormous losses, over 1.5 million dead in World War I, which overshadows everything. That's part one. Part two is everyday life under the occupation. Rationing, scarcities, police repression, and for writers, things like censorship. We have examples of works that are censored, orders from the German censor and so forth. Because lots of terrible things could happen to you. If you're a resistor and get caught, it's the camp or the prison. If you're Jewish, you're fired from your job. The Vichy government, without being prompted by the Germans, blamed Jews for the weakening of France, and they want to eliminate Jews from literary life. And we have some letters in which Jewish writers are fired from their job as teachers or as editors. And so there's prison, there's exile, there's death, and we have materials illustrating those dire fates. We have some material on Irene Nemirovsky. We have the original manuscript of her recently published Suite Française, open to the page where she has the table of contents of the 2 volumes she wrote, and the 3rd volume she was just getting ready to start. And we have some correspondence with her as she tries to get published under a pseudonym to keep her family afloat before she's arrested in July 1942. We have a little corner of things from Irene Nemirovsky that are quite moving and very personal. Part 3 is, we call it Temptations of Collaboration. Why some French writers collaborated with the Nazis. Because they hated the French Republic, or because it was fun. There we have photos of receptions at the German embassy, people having a wonderful time. Section 4 is resistance, because they were writers who resisted from the very first day, and we have examples of their work. What writers could do was to publish underground, and there's a lot of clandestine newspapers. There were about 1,000 clandestine newspapers. Louis Aragon is a very famous poet of this period, and he's illustrated here in a number of ways. Paul Éluard is another well-known French poet. We have his poem called On Liberty, and then we have an original oil painting by the painter Léger, Fernand Léger, illustrating the poem by Éluard. We have writers on the other side, like Pierre Drieux-La Rochelle, who was a novelist and who became the editor of the main literary magazine. And we have some letters from him explaining why he's backing the Germans. It's anti-communism. He says, if we don't support Hitler, the Russians will be in Berlin before we are, which in fact happened. Some people started out not knowing what to do. Some people changed their mind when the tide turns or when the German occupation becomes more oppressive. Next to last is we call international solidarities. There were foreign countries that received refugee writers from France. There were quite a few of them in New York. And we have examples of those people and what they did in this country. Some of them found teaching jobs in the United States. We have some examples of that. When the Germans were defeated and France was liberated, the writers who had collaborated were punished for it, and there were blacklists published. And yet others thought this was going too far, and the communists wanted a thorough purge. The non-communists thought this was a power grab. And so the resistance coalition fell apart, and so you're out into the post-war world in a new world, and that's the final section is the punishment of the collaborationist writers and the disagreements about how far you should go. What we see here are individual responses to this difficult period of repression and censorship and people's efforts to, writers' efforts to express themselves. And we see individuals because they're personal letters, personal diaries, photos. And so it's a show where you see individual responses to a very difficult time.
Not everyone goes to school to be an artist. Before she was discovered by accident by an art dealer in 1914, Séraphine Louis was a shepherdess and a house servant. Her remarkable story is now a no less remarkable film. Simply titled Séraphine, it was the winner of 7 César Awards in France, including Best Film, Original Screenplay, and Best Actress for Yolande Moreau. Director Martin Provost talks about his film with Canape.
Séraphine is a true story. It's a story about a housekeeper, une femme de ménage qui, au début du siècle dernier, à l'âge de 40 ans, se retrouve au service d'un grand collectionneur allemand qui habite en France et qui va s'installer à Senlis, qui est une petite ville à côté de Paris. Et un jour, par hasard, il va découvrir chez des voisins un petit tableau et apprendre que cette femme de ménage qui travaille pour lui est le peintre qui a fait ce tableau.
Et voilà, on en profite, c'est peut-être la dernière. Monsieur, vous ne venez pas manger votre dessert?
Qui a peint ça?
Ça, mais oh, c'est rien. Venez plutôt faire honneur à mon omelette norvégienne. Elle ne va pas flamber éternellement.
Je peux savoir qui a peint ça?
Séraphine.
Comment ça, Séraphine?
Votre femme de ménage, enfin la nôtre. Elle travaillait au couvent à côté quand son ange gardien lui est apparu et lui a ordonné de se mettre à la peinture. Mon fils a absolument voulu que je le prenne en dépôt.
Je vous l'achète.
Ah bon?
Vous me l'ajouterez au loyer. Je le prends tout de suite. Bonsoir, madame.
Yolande l'a dit d'ailleurs l'autre jour à la cérémonie des Césars. Elle disait on s'est rencontrés au Super U, qui est un supermarché à côté. Je faisais mes courses et j'ai vu passer Yolande dans les rayons. Et je me suis dit, c'est elle. Et l'entrepreneur qui a fait ma maison, je savais, avait refait celle de Yolande. Donc j'ai appelé mon entrepreneur à qui on fait beaucoup de publicité depuis. Et j'ai dit, mais est-ce que tu pourrais me faire rencontrer Yolande? Et il l'a appelée. Il m'a rappelé 2 minutes après, il m'a dit, elle t'attend. Et donc j'ai pris tous mes livres, tout ce que j'avais mis, tout ce que j'avais trouvé de reproduction des tableaux de Séraphine. Et je suis allé voir Yolande qui était, je m'en souviendrai toujours, dans son jardin. C'était le printemps. Il faisait très beau. Il y avait des fleurs partout. Et je lui racontais l'histoire de Séraphine. Il me dit, ah, c'est très intéressant. Il y avait des coupures de presse de l'époque. Wilhelm II a découvert un grand peintre. C'est sa femme de ménage. Et en dessous, il y avait un portrait de Séraphine fait par un autodidacte de Senlis, Monsieur Leblanc, à la plume. Un très joli dessin comme ça. Sarapin un pied, et c'était Yolande Moreau. Mais vraiment, c'est son sosie. Ça m'a fait un choc, j'ai fait une photo, je me suis précipité, je montre à Yolande, qui est devenue blême. Et puis bon, Yolande a beaucoup d'humour, elle dit c'est pas flatteur, mais c'est bien moi.
Bonté divine. Ça n'explique pas ce tintouin au-dessus de ma tête. Tu peins bien avec un pinceau?
Oui, avec un pinceau.
Oh, Séraphine. Vos fleurs sont bizarres. Elles bougent. On dirait qu'elles cachent des insectes. On dirait des yeux. Ce sont des yeux blessés, des chairs en lambeaux. Des choses effrayantes.
Je sais, Madame de Longe. Moi aussi, quand je le regarde, j'ai peur de ce que j'ai fait.
If it's springtime in New York, we must be going to Africa. For 16 years, the New York African Film Festival has been offering cinephiles a sampling of the films from Mother Africa that is as diverse as the many cultures of the continent. From Egypt to South Africa, the films range from piercing social documentaries to lighthearted comedies. There's something for everyone who wants to take the trip. Member of the board of directors, Mamadou Niang, shares his thoughts about the festival with Canape.
Africa, Africa, mama. Africa, Africa, kulenga yebo. Africa,
This is the 16th edition of the New York African Film Festival. The festival goes around the country. We have a traveling series which kicks off immediately after the 1 month and a half showing between Lincoln Center, which is about 2 weeks, and at the BAM Theater, the Brooklyn Academy of Music, BAM Cinematheque. I think it's a miracle. We're so happy we've made it this far. When we started 16 years ago, it was not a given that the festival would have this staying power. But thanks to God, it is just to the magnificent, I think, the artistry of the filmmakers.
Dites, bon, du balai, je vous ai dit. Vous rentrez chez vous, inspecteur a témoigné en votre faveur.
Sacred Places is one of those think pieces. It's a fascinating, interrogative or even investigative film that really asks us and even the filmmakers to answer to profound questions about the meaning of filmmaking in Africa.
Mais aujourd'hui, les Africains demandent réellement leur film. Même ici, dans le ghetto, dans les quartiers, tout le monde veut voir des films africains, connaître leurs propres acteurs et vraiment s'intéresser à ça. Parce que c'est des messages de chez nous, c'est la tradition de chez nous, c'est notre histoire. La plupart des films africains retracent l'histoire de nous, de ce qui se passe ici. Est-ce que vous voyez? Voilà ce qui est très important. Et ça plaît vraiment, mais ça coûte cher. On n'a pas accès à ça.
So I think what's interesting is that for a filmmaker of his caliber, taking his lenses, his camera to this type of audience is a reverse question to him. Is the kind of cinema I am doing, is it really relevant to African society? A society that doesn't go to movie theaters. I mean, what is the relevance of making film in Africa today? Paris or Nothing, Paris à tout prix of Josephine Dagneau of Cameroon is one of those perennial themes of African cinema, immigration. Africans who don't find any more space in their own country and immigrate to Paris, to France, to try to make it. And this is another twist of this old story. But what is revealing here is the character-driven portrayal of this migration. This is a very strong woman who, facing hardship, still have to struggle to raise 2 kids. It's a wonderful tale of the extraordinary travel that Africans are living when they decide to emigrate.
Voilà.
Wrestling grounds, L'Appel des Arènes, Cheikh Ndiaye's magnificent tapestry of an age-old sports in Senegal, which is really more than a sport. Actually, it's the theme of a magnificent classic, a novel by Aminata Sofal. It's about the sacred and the spirit of wrestling in Senegal, which is actually a sport, which is more than a sport. And you get this 17-year-old kid comes to learn the sport and realizes that the extension of his soul, the extension of his spirit goes so far beyond what we thought was just a sport. And that in a climatic way that we see the things that he learned through about a 2-hour movie is just magnificent. If you think of Africa, a continent without a film industry, and yet you have all of these swaths of young and old filmmakers who keep producing this magnificent film, I think it is testament to their courage.